On the 25th of August 2010, a small plane operated by Silliest crashed on a routine flight in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Of the 21 on board, 19 were killed, 1 survived, and another would die later. The aircraft, Alet L-410, crashed on final approach into Bandundu, a small Congolese city of around 130,000 people. Initially, investigators suspected the aircraft had simply ran short of fuel due to the lack of fire at the scene. However, as I mentioned at the top of the story, there was one survivor, and after recovering enough to speak, the story they told the police of the moments right before the crash would go to show that sometimes the truth is often stranger than fiction. Captained by Belgian national 62-year-old Danny Philmott, who also owned the airline, the L-410 twin-engined turboprop, manufactured by Czech aircraft maker Let, began its journey in Kinshasa, the Congolese capital, earlier in the day. Having completed 3 legs already, the 4th was to be from Semendoi to Bandundu in the west of the country. However, unbeknownst to everyone else, one of the 18 passengers had snuck on a 4-legged friend inside a duffel bag. It was in the final approach into Bandundu that, according to the sole survivor, a small crocodile escaped the duffel bag and ran through the cabin, causing panic among the passengers. And in what can be described as a Darwin Award of group-sized proportions, the flight attendant rushed toward the front, followed by most of the 18 passengers. The sudden shift of weight tipped the plane off balance, the pilots lost control, and the aircraft crashed just short of the airport. The captain, first officer, and flight attendant were all killed, as were 17 of the 18 passengers. Along with the human survivor, the crocodile made it out alive too, only to be killed by authorities later. Established in 1872, the Yellowstone National Park is located mainly in Wyoming, but extends into Montana and Idaho. The park is home to a wide range of wildlife, including grizzly bears, wolves, bison, and elk, and is known for its geothermal features, including the Old Faithful Geyser. Covering over 2 million acres, Yellowstone sees around 4 million visitors yearly, all eager for the unspoiled landscapes, hot springs, rivers, and vast wilderness on offer. Although on average 2 people are injured by a bison and 1 by a grizzly bear each year at Yellowstone, according to the National Park Service, there's something else far more dangerous, but to fall victim to it, you have to be doing something you probably shouldn't. On the 7th of June 2016, 23-year-old Colin Scott and his sister Sable visited Yellowstone National Park. Although swimming is permitted at your own risk in several areas throughout the park, the Norris Geyser Basin is not one of those places. As the oldest, hottest, and most dynamic of Yellowstone's thermal features, the Norris Geyser Basin is extremely dangerous, the ground is thin, and the water is often boiling and sometimes acidic. Tourists must stay on the more than 1.5 miles of boardwalks. However, according to a BBC article, Colin and his sister left the boardwalk despite the warning signs and wandered off searching for a place to soak. As his sister watched on, Colin reached down to test the temperature of the water but lost his footing and fell in. At 212 degrees Fahrenheit, or 100 degrees Celsius, the water was boiling and he stood no chance. Without cell phone coverage, by the time his sister had gotten help from a nearby museum, rescuers were unable to retrieve his body due to the fading light and an oncoming storm, and the next day when rescuers returned, there was not much left beyond his flip-flops. According to an excerpt from the official report, due to the acidity of the water, as well as the extremely high temperature, Colin's remains had most likely dissolved overnight. This is Remy Lucii, French rooftopper and daredevil, better known on Instagram as Remy Enigma. Gaining notoriety, climbing some of the world's tallest structures without safety equipment, he showcased his high-risk, high-reward approach to scaling anything from skyscrapers to cranes and other tall structures. He attracted a large following of fans, drawn to his fearless spirit and eccentric personality. This picture, posted just 11 days before his death, was perhaps a chilling foreshadow of what would come. Captioned, "Life is too short to chase unicorns," complete with a skull emoji. At around 6 p.m. on Thursday, the 27th of July, 2023, 30-year-old Remy Lucii arrived at the first floor of the Tanta Tower 3 building on Hong Kong Island. The Tanta Towers comprise 3 prominent residential skyscrapers in Hong Kong's popular mid-scales district. Completed in 1993, at 721 feet, Tower 3 was the world's tallest residential skyscraper until it was overtaken by Trump Tower in 2001. After telling a security guard he was visiting a friend on the 40th floor, Remy was caught on CCTV exiting the lift on the 49th floor before taking the stairs to the top, where he forced a door open to get outside. However, today was the day his luck ran out. It was around 7:30 p.m. that a maid, cleaning the penthouse suite on the 68th floor, got the shock of her life. She looked out to see Remy on a narrow window ledge, asking for help. It's not exactly clear what had gone wrong, but according to a Sky News article, before the police had arrived, he lost his footing and fell hundreds of feet onto a patio below and instantly lost his life. Tributes flowed in the wake of his death. One user on social media wrote, "Bro went out doing what he loved. He lived life fully. Not many can say that." Although it's unclear how it went wrong on this occasion, Hong Kong police concluded he had run into trouble while attempting his extreme sport. He knocked on the window for help, but accidentally fell to his death. Born on the 29th of July 1820, Clement Vallandingham was a lawyer and politician, serving 2 terms as a Democrat for Ohio's 3rd Congressional District in the United States House of Representatives. Considered pro-slavery, he served as the leader of the Copperhead faction of the anti-war Democrats. As one of Lincoln's most outspoken critics, in 1863, he was exiled to the Confederacy for publicly opposing the Civil War. He eventually sailed on to Canada, but snuck back into the US the following year. Learning of his return, Lincoln drafted a letter to the Ohio governor, asking him to watch Vallandingham closely and to arrest him if necessary. However, Lincoln never sent the letter. But it was perhaps the strange way in which Vallandingham died that he'd be most remembered for. On the night of December 24th, 1870, a good old-fashioned bar brawl broke out at the American Saloon Gambling Parlor in Hamilton, Ohio, between 2 former business partners, Tom Myers and Thomas McGeehan, and their associates. At some point throughout the brawl, a shot went off, hitting Tom Myers in the abdomen, causing an injury to which he would later die from. Naturally, Thomas McGeehan was the prime suspect and was eventually arrested and charged with murder. However, he firmly maintained his innocence. Defending him in court was Clement Vallandingham, who, like many other US lawmakers of the time, was also a lawyer. Thomas McGeehan insisted that Myers had accidentally shot himself. Vallandingham wholeheartedly agreed and would end up dead proving it. On the evening of June 16th, 1871, at Lebanon House, now the Golden Lamb, Vallandingham and 2 other defense lawyers prepared their closing statements for the trial the next day. Vallandingham's theory was that the victim had, in fact, accidentally shot himself attempting to draw his pistol from his pocket while standing up from a crouched position. Placing in his own pocket one of 2 pistols, the one he believed to be unloaded, Vallandingham knelt to rehearse the demonstration he planned to show the jury the next day. Reenacting what he believed had happened, he reached into his pocket to pull out the pistol as he stood up and snapped the hammer. The weapon exploded and fired a bullet directly into his abdomen. He was reported to have said immediately after, "Oh murder, I am shot, taken up the wrong pistol." Although he wouldn't live to see it, his client Thomas McGeehan was acquitted, only to be murdered himself 4 years later. Born on the 29th of July 1820, Clement Vallandingham... Born on the 29th of July 1820, Clement Vallandingham... Oh my goodness. Born on the 29th of July 1820, Clement Vallandingham... goodness gracious me. Vallandingham. Born on the 29th of July 1820, Clement Vallandingham was a lawyer and politician.